There we go. Kitty just asked me where we were tonight, but we're live now, so hopefully she can see us.
Technical
It's
difficulties
still
with
waiting
Janet.
on just that little bit of a turn,
It's
and
telling
then
me we're live.
yeah,
See,
you are
episode
live.
is
So
live
the
on
plan
Exponential.
is,
It's
yeah, the plan is live on Exponential Joy and Nancy Nance, because last weekend we had a complete glitch. We couldn't go live. We had to just record.
I saw the thing
every week.
for Joy, so if you could let
Good.
Kitty
I
know.
shared, so I shared with people.
Well,
so.
and you know, I was watching on my drive home, I was watching your presentation today, Janet, when you were walking and talking.
Oh, good.
And it was wonderful. It was so nice because, you know, I had forgotten that I was writing on the yellow paper.
Yeah. And do you know what? How did we get connected? Because somebody connected us, and I don't remember. I just remember going to that second cup and we were looking for each other, right?
Yeah,
I think
it was
might
second cup.
Was it you, Daphne?
Yeah.
Maybe?
I don't think so, because I met Daphne at your vision board workshop.
Right. Oh, true.
So how did you get to my vision board workshop? Did it come after you and I had met? Yes. I can't remember. Okay, it was after
you and I met.
Yeah. Yes. Serendipity. Like, geez, the people that we are meeting now is just amazing.
It's like this amazing, this cooperative of jellyfish in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And they just show up, right?
Yeah, they just show up. And I like that we all practice the same deliberate intention. So we plan on, we have goals, we have definitive direction, but where we all allow a great big huge gap for wisdom to fit in.
Yeah. Yeah. And isn't that wonderful how that all works?
Well, the last time that I saw you, we were both in Kelowna, Janet.
Yes. That was fun. I was house sitting in Kelowna, and that's when all the floods were happening and the landslides, and you were there waiting for a baby to be born.
Yes, I was. I was waiting for Lennon to be born. And here she is turning 2 in January. Wow.
Yeah,
I just have to say,
amazing.
Go ahead, Daphne.
I was going to say, could you guys hear the ducks that were just flying over me? Ducks and geese were just flying over me.
I guess they're saying hi.
They are. They want to be on the show too.
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
Such a beautiful time of year. This is such a beautiful time of year.
I just tried to get to see if you were on your own on Nancy Nance, and I didn't see you because I'm trying to get Les to see, and you're not streaming there, so I tagged him on your other page.
There we go.
Yeah, all I see are check marks, so I don't know on my end.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that I'm really learning to embrace is the different, the obstacles and the opportunities. Because last week I was on a beautiful program, Mental Health Warriors, and we streamed from StreamYard onto YouTube directly. And I'm like, I might try that next.
Well, see, I know people do from LinkedIn, like Dee Rose does hers from, I think from LinkedIn. I can't remember, but I was on something with her and she was So yeah, it's just complicated to me, but I love that we can do that because we are on
It's
all different
neat.
platforms, right?
We are. There's so
Mhm.
many, and there's no way there is not one app or integration that brings absolutely everything in, unless you've got a team in the background.
Mhm.
That'll come.
Yeah, if you got somebody working in the background, that's great. But
Well, and that's
anyhow, we
where I
are
believe Daphne
connected.
and I, right, Daphne and I are working towards that. We've got a meeting next week. Fingers crossed, it'll work out. And if it doesn't, then another meeting will come to be into pass. And you know,
Well,
what a perfect
you-
intro to growing into your greatness, because one day, a long time ago, I hoped that one day I would be able to do something like this, but I never imagined it to be exactly as it is.
Well, things are happening pretty quick, and I was ready to just not do anything anymore. But I was very blessed with a very wise shaman one time. I said, I feel like I'm being pushed to do this. And she says, but what if you thought it was like a magnet drawing you to it? And it's definitely there. Like I was ready to say, like I turned 70 this year, I'll just, but you know what? I can't quit. Just like you guys, right? We have a message and it just needs to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
1000%.
quitting isn't an option. Quitting
No,
isn't
it's
an
not.
option.
No.
No.
So,
Usually at about 8:30, it's the only option I have because I'm so done. I just want to pull the plug on everything and dive into a bowl of popcorn. But too much popcorn isn't good. So
mind you, not the microwave stuff, but the real good stuff. I cook mine on my stove
yeah,
with the butter and
yep.
salt, and that's how I like mine. And you know what? That's the best supper for us. My mom, my daughter, my granddaughter, and I, we could just sit there with a good movie at supper time and just eat our popcorn.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And I think that as you find that connection with growing into your great way of living or being, it's celebrating things that you just, you know what? Popcorn.
Yeah,
Yeah, popcorn. It's
just
simple.
simple. Yeah.
Yeah,
See, we're on the same wavelength already.
Life
So.
doesn't
sure
have-
we are.
I know.
You're right, Daphne. It doesn't need to be complicated. It's already complicated without us complicating it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just had somebody else asking how to get on, so I'm just going to tag her on your other page.
Yeah, let's see if
and
Exponential
get
Joy
done.
happens to pop it up. And if not,
Yeah.
then someone watching this is going to be like, oh my God, those girls need help. I'm going to call them.
Perfect opportunity, right?
Right? Perfect
Yeah.
opportunity.
I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
ladies,
Well,
is there enough light here for me, or do I have to go in the house? What do you think?
no, the lighting's good. The lighting's good. I can see you.
I just want to make sure.
I think one of the challenges
You're starting to
that
dark.
yeah, a little bit. You know, one of the challenges that I find is not necessarily connecting with what the great big global understanding is, but finding the meaning in something just for
Mm-hmm.
we're inundated with so much information out there. We're inundated with so many opportunities.
Yeah.
There's so much. I mean, watch my show, join my program, read this book. You know, the one that's going to help you. And with AI, if we're playing around on the computer, iPad, phone, whatever, as soon as you type in plumber, the whole AI system's like, hey, you need a plumber? I got a plumber. You want a plumber? I got a plumber. And there's so much that tells us what we want that it's sometimes a struggle to determine what growing into greatness is for you. So how do you know, Janet, when you're on mark for greatness?
Do you know what? It's just when the inspired thoughts start popping in and things start aligning. So I'll give you an example. My publisher and I get on a call. She's also a very dear friend. Get on a call usually every Saturday morning. And this Saturday, we just, start from chat to end up. I had done a video, like a Zoom call that she recorded on journaling. So it's an hour long. So we're working at making that into an evergreen product, but that's been a while happening. And then all of a sudden, everything started to click. Okay, we can do this. I've got this. So I sent her some stuff that I could repurpose, and she sent it right back. And it's like just things flowing. And then I was on a call on Friday where it's called The Power of Our Stories, First Responders and Bridge Builders. And this new person was on, and I liked what he was saying. So I messaged him, and we got on a call today, and geez, just started talking. I wanted to hear more about him so that I could share him and that. And it's just, I told him what my vision and that, and he just came up with a name for my product. And I thought, I never even thought of that. But I have the ideas, but I can't always verbalize. Like I can say what I want to do, but I can't. Sometimes it's just that little bit thing that I can't say the right words. So it's an inspired thought. Like the book that I put out in 2021, the anthology, that was, I woke up that morning with the title in my head, and it would not go away. And it's called the year the world paused. Stories of inspiration and transformation. Now I had that in my head in November 2020, and then I was in this group with Patty Aubrey. That's Jack Canfield's. I don't know whether she's CEO, but he wouldn't be anywhere without Patty. And it's just like I just said, "Hey, who wants to be in a book with me?" And it's amazing. It's amazing who showed up, and other people that later say, "Well, I never heard that." But right, it's when you're ready, those things that you don't need to do at that time aren't heard. You could be in the same room and hear a lecture, and you all come out with something different because there was a different message for each of you. And so that's the only way I can describe it. Like I'll wake up some mornings, or like one of my best pieces that I wrote, I just woke up at 3:00 in the morning and just started writing. It just, that's how it happens, right? Because I think we get busy in our day and we don't have that same flow. We're not open to that. And when I started, like in September, the beginning of September, I started my Facebook Lives because I just feel I have a message. And as I turn 70 this year, I consider myself a wise woman. Like I've been through some ups and downs. I can share my wisdom.
Yeah, and there is a lot of that in our lives. It's as though there is this time. It's a quantum leap of a sort. I remember that TV show from ways gone back where
on again now. It's a new actor. Yeah, but it's back on.
Oh, are they doing it again? Oh, that's fun.
Yes.
That's fun. But there is, it's this time within time that's within time. And so much is coming back into being, and yet so many things are absolutely ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. Ease and flow. When you're going down the river of life and everything is just lining up, the right people
Yeah.
show up at the right time, and then the most obscure obstacles come along the way that just stop you dead in your track, and you're like, yeah, well, and that's not working anymore. It looks like I'm going to change, or
Yeah. Yeah.
or I'm going to fight it.
Yeah.
And fighting it is okay too, if that's what you feel the need to
Well,
do.
it's like walking in muddy. It's like walking in water that has mud on the bottom, and you're stuck, and you're just trudging, right? Rather than running on the sand with no obstacles.
When you say that,
I
it's
don't
like
know, that just
Baywatch
came to
running.
me.
No, but that's perfect. So like
Not with
Baywatch.
this body, I don't think, but maybe the bounce.
Oh, right. Oh, look, there's David Hasselhoff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
just
crazy.
easy,
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But you know what? We just don't know where this stuff comes from, right? Like, oh my God,
No.
what do you when we think of it, when it comes up, where does it come from? That's like I even said today on my walk, that we're spiritually driven, and that some of the stuff that comes to us or we say to somebody, we don't know where it comes from.
Amen.
Because I can honestly tell you that some of the things that I've said, I do not remember, but somebody will come up to me and say, wow, I needed to hear that. And I'm going, okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. This is so funny. And I don't think either one of you were at this workshop. It was a vision board workshop. And you know how I do guided meditation at the beginning.
Yeah.
And my daughter has been to several of them, right? So I go into this guided meditation and something changed. I had to say something different. And so instead of just going to the tree, I had a tree house and everything. And on the break, my daughter came to me and says, Mom, you changed the meditation. It took me right out because I was expecting this and this and this. And at the end of the workshop, this woman came up to me and she said, that was so cool. Because I'm taking my daughter on a holiday and we're going to Vancouver Island and we're staying in a treehouse.
Oh, wow.
Like, so that was so meaningful to her. But how cool is that? I just love when that happens.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that thought came from somewhere outside of yourself.
Totally. And that's what's
somewhere
great about the work that we do.
And that's where
is that
it
comes to us.
Yeah. Well, and that's where you are no longer the thinker, you are the thought.
Yeah.
And when it happens, it happens. It's just it's so special and so spectacular. I know I get woken at the wee hours of the morning to write. Lately, it's been 12:34, 1:33, 3:13, and I'm still getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I go back and have a wee little nap, and then still keep my day going. I'm very, very blessed. Very blessed. Yeah.
Hey, Daphne, can you
Daphne,
see if people are signed on? Because I know Les was having trouble, and then another person, but because it's not showing. It's not showing on Nancy Nance, so they'll have to watch the replay.
Yeah. They might have to watch the replay when we go on to.
You know what? I will check. I'm just have to close this screen. I might.
It is on Exponential Joy.
Yes, it is on there. Yeah, but it's not on Nancy Nance. So.
Okay, well,
I think Facebook is making some determinations about personal pages. So professional pages are allowed to do one thing, and that's one thing that I'm finding irritating, and it's irritating on one, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm
Mhm.
gonna get past you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna overcome whatever it is. I don't like. I'm a very independent, sovereign human being. As soon as you tell me that I can't do something, I am going to make sure that I will do it one way or another. And there are a lot of different portals that are opening up for us to be able to share information on. I know that I've got a few meetings next week to see what some of those are,
Yeah.
because there's like StreamYard will work with this and this will work with that. And
Yeah.
we're not all getting along well in the sand yard of life, which
I
is,
Les
shared
just
my
messaged he's on. He's on
there we go.
this one.
Exponential
So
joy.
yeah.
yeah, I shared
Well, and I
it
like how
too.
I love how you brought up the way that you said that you had the right people showing up at the right time.
Oh, amazing.
You have lived such a extraordinary life of being in obscure places. Obscure.
Yeah.
So you said that you've got some circles that you belong to that help you grow into your greatness. How do you pick them? How do you know which one's right for you?
Well, some come and go. Like before COVID, I was in some, and that's some networking events that went by the wayside. But in doing that, I joined a group because my background is policing, and that's where my heart is working with first responders as well, and people that are coming out of their trauma that are wanting to move forward. So I found this and serendipity. That's the only way I can explain it. And that's how I found Jack Canfield too in 2010. But this through LinkedIn. And I found this post about the power of our story. And it's for first responders and bridge builders. And so I just messaged because it says message for the link for the Thursday night. And it's been nearly 3 years I've been part of that group. And I'll tell you that coming from that world, and I live in two worlds, right, Daphne? You would understand that more than anything. I live in two worlds. I have this part of me, but I also have the part of the regimented, of the police force and stuff. So when I went to that group, I tell you, I felt like I was at home. Like those people, I could say anything about my job or about what happened to me and about my post-traumatic stress and that. And most of them had all gone through it or some part of it. And so it was an understanding. And then it was it wasn't talking gibberish to somebody, they got it. I got it. And I tell you, the network I've grown within them, the love, I know if something happens, I could call any one of them in our core group and say, I need help. And they would be there. In fact, one of the women I connected with, she's part of 22-0. Now, 22-0 is a nonprofit that started in the United States. And actually, it's a protocol that a vet and a police officer went through to help him with his PTSD. So this protocol takes the angst away and the trauma away, but leaves the memory. So that's what we need to do, right? And anyhow, through all this and learning about this, and it was really interesting because the man who took him through it, his name's Alan Canerva, and Alan Canerva and I did our master NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnotherapy together in Ontario. So it was really, really cool that this circle came around. And then this woman, Tammy, when our police officer, our CMP officer, was murdered last fall in Burnaby, she noticed my posts had changed. And she contacted me and she says, Janet, let me take you through this protocol. We need to get that, bring you back down. And so that's what I mean about the connections. We watch everybody, We connect with everybody and say, how are you doing? You know, I'm here for you, type of thing. And that's what I am to anybody I come to in contact with. But this group is different, and in that we are isolated to a certain degree, especially right now with all the negativity around policing and stuff, and what the military is going through and stuff. It's just nice to be in that group. The thing is that's not my only love, right? It's they're there to allow me to be that part of me that allows me to do this part of me. And that's the only way I can really explain it. And everybody needs that, to find what supports them so they can do what they need to do. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense, because each of us, we orbit each other's existence at different times. And then we take our familiar, and then we put a little bit, and then it attaches to another, and it's like I can't say that word, an enemy.
Anemone.
That's it.
The anemone. The anemone.
That's it. And we grow and we morph and we change, and then something catches our attention and our eye, and we move towards that. But it is in that this feels both safe, and it pulls us out of our comfort zone at the same place.
Well, it challenges us, right? And makes us grow. And then other events show up that help train us a little more, right? Because we're growing. I'm not the same. I couldn't go through that course again, the Master NLP, Timeline Therapy, Hypnotherapy again, as the person I was then. I would see something else in it. And to give you an example, I started training with Jack Canfield in 2010. And I don't know when, it was about 2016 or 17, that I traveled to the States and volunteered at 2 of his One Day to Greatness events. And I was sitting in the room, at the back of the room, watching him on stage. And he was talking about vision boards. And you guys know how much I love the vision boards and teaching it. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I thought, because Les and I have a pretty good marriage, and let's face it, everybody, because we're very different people, and he supports me 100%, don't you, dear? I know he's watching. And but we have a really good energy around us. And I thought, at the end of our hallway, I've got our wedding picture and a Precious Moments picture I cross-stitched that says togetherness, truth of our love. And then I have some other special sayings. Now, every time I walk down that hall in our house, I see that. And that's what vision boards are, right? If we see it, it somehow goes into our brain. We may not realize we're not reading everything the same way and that, but somehow it manifests. We can even put that vision board away and look back at it 5 years later, like John Assaraf did in his, if anybody's followed him, where he says, 5 years later, he pulled out his vision boards and thought, I'm living in the house I had on my vision board. So it's like that. It brings in that energy. And if somebody hasn't tried it, you guys try it. And if you need help, hey, just contact me, because that's powerful. It's like journaling. It's so powerful in that. And I love teaching it.
Vision boards. I mean, that's when Daphne and I connected, was at your vision board workshop. And we still giggle at that, because I was angry. I was seething angry. My life was very, very, very different. And I still have the vision board that I made there. And I've got Ralph on that vision board, and he's doing this. It's not Ralph. It's oh my goodness, the guy that's in Magic Mike. He's so cute.
Yeah. I don't know what his name
Yeah,
is.
the blonde guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of it. And that's how Ralph
McConaughey?
dances. He does this.
Is it McConaughey?
No, not McConaughey.
Oh, the other one.
Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum.
Right.
And everything on that vision board has come to fruition in one way or another, and yet incredibly different.
I'm listening, you guys. I got to go shut the dog up.
Okay.
I'm listening.
We'll visit till you get back.
Oh gosh, the joys of house sitting.
Right?
Joys of house. Just a minute, I gotta go get the dog.
That's why I'm sitting outside, because everybody's inside visiting, right? Oh, we're pulling out the monkey mind thing.
Yes, look at him. He's so cute.
He is very cute.
We'll just use this for commercial breaks.
Okay.
In the room with me. I've got her in the room, so hopefully she'll quit barking. But
Hopefully. I had picked this pet up and a whole bunch of other pets as part of my animal communication end of life doula program that I'm a part of.
okay.
So I'm learning to assist animals and people in the transition to the end of life. And part of that is helping them sometimes with a teddy bear for the children that I'm a part of that transition with. So
it's so important, that transition, right? Changing the dynamics around the transition is, instead of that fear and upset and that, if we can, because that's all there. But I mean, to come in with love and compassion, knowing it is going to happen, we can choose how we react to it and know that this is a transition for all of us.
It's offering support. And so often we go into a situation to help, to fix, to change. There's a big difference in support. And I learned that a lot when my mom was still at home and we were continuously calling 911 because my mom had fallen again. And to have them support us. I sat on the phone, a beautiful 911 agent, waiting for the ambulance to come and help my mom stand again.
Yeah.
It was support. They couldn't fix it, but they could support me through the process.
Well, it's just knowing you've got a friend at the other, and friend just has to be the word, because really at that moment, they are that.
Yeah. So
How
true.
many years, Janet, were 911 responder?
I want to clarify that. I was RCMP, so police, and when you call 911, it's a central place that says police, fire, or ambulance. So if they say police, it comes to me. We take all the other calls. And so over a matter of 40 years, I did different positions, but mainly the dispatch for that time. And I was a spouse before I came into that communication side of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And so I have experience from both sides. And believe me, when you're a spouse and then all of a sudden a member, both couples, like both of us in the relationship, saw a different world.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
So it was an experience. And you know what? We've retired together and we just can't sit still. Well, I can't sit still. So Les just comes along for the ride, right? He takes great pictures and we're in demand, which is wonderful that we can support people like this with the house sitting. And we meet beautiful people and animals all over the world. If you saw my post a couple of days ago with some of the dogs that we house it
And
for,
the
and
goat,
the person and the
goat,
pigs and the pigs
and the pig, and the horse.
and the horses and stuff. And so what I'm working at, unbeknowing that this is the route it was going, is these posts, Les is saving them in a file for me, because that will transition into a story about our house sitting around the world and the people we meet and the journey, like the experiences, like me accidentally letting the pigs out. Do you know how hard it is to get a pig back in the pen?
Yep.
Like, you can't herd them like cattle, or like Les up closing the fence on a hill, but not turning the wheels or whatever he had to do to the quad, and it rolling down the hill. And you see this 75-year-old man running after this quad, ass over tea kettle, and he caught it. And do you know what the drive was to catch it? Because there was an electric fence down below, and if it would have gone through it, he would have had to fix it.
Yeah, that's motivation.
And the picture I have, I caught a video towards the end, and you can see him. He's got a yellow jacket. You can see the yellow jacket go. But in the foreground is the dog that Les is holding in that picture, Robbie. And he's just like this, like, what the heck are you doing? And it's just got a story. You know how you can look at a picture and there's a story there? So there's more to come. Where do you focus most of your energy? There's a question there. Is that?
It's
do you know
coming
what?
up.
Yeah, I just saw that. Where do I focus most of my energy?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Just being in the moment, I think, more than anything. And house sitting is energizing, like the people that we look at, the animals we look after. And with technology nowadays, I can do everything as long as I've got Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. And last year, when we were in Scotland in January last year, or this year, January 2023, I did a presentation to a group of people from that work with people that are going through transition because of trauma or accident or something, where they can't stay in their job anymore. And so I did a presentation on working with people with PTSD and what to look for and stuff. So my grandson and my granddaughter were both in that group, and that's how, because she had a challenge, and so I shared with her, okay, this is what to look for. This is how you have to handle it. And when I say have to handle it, I mean, we've got to change the state, right? If somebody's not listening, it doesn't mean they're not listening to be rude. It might be their mind is someplace else. And in people that have been in trauma, and you definitely know that, don't you? And Daphne, you'd know that because of the accident and stuff, right? Your mind will go someplace else. So you have to break that state. So how you can break that state is say, oh my, did you hear that? And right away, they're like listening.
Yeah.
And I always equated to a little girl that I saw on the front seat of a car, you know, when they used to stand on the seat of the car, and she was having this full-blown temper tantrum, about 2 years old, I would say. And then her favorite song came on the radio. And then she was singing and dancing. Like, and that's what I mean about changing our state. It can be that quick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, you know, and there's so much resources out there, and we don't have all of them. So when I work with somebody, I say, I may not be the person for you, but I can suggest somebody, or I know somebody that can suggest somebody else. It's for all three of us, right? It's not about being the only person for somebody. It's about, we want you to be the best you can be. We want you to be healthy. We want you to go past that trauma and realize there's more to it. It's our trauma, all three of us, that brought us to where we are now, because
Yep.
we knew there was more out there. We knew that there
Yes.
was more that we had learned, and we weren't about to sit on our butts and not do anything. And that's where I say people show up when you're ready. Those people show up. Like Daphne, I didn't know you from a hole in the ground until Jerry and I did that come as you'll be party, right? And she
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
"Can my friend Daphne come?" And I says, "Yes." And that was an awesome event. And so that's
And
how we
I,
connected.
yeah, and I showed up to that party in like this beautiful ball gown and with crystal jewelry, and that I was going to be all the stars would be wearing my jewelry, and yeah.
Yeah, we came as
So
what
and
we wanted to be in 5 years. And we played that role. And Les took pictures of everybody in their role, and they all shared their vision, because, when we share where we want to go, there's somebody there to support us. And to give you an example of that, and it doesn't happen necessarily right away. For some people, it'll happen like right away. But in my case, I stood up in 2012. I was at an event in the States, in San Francisco. And she had us each stand up and say who we are, where we're from, and what's one thing we wanted to do. So I stood up, introduced myself, told me where I'm from. And then I said, I want to speak in the UN, in the United Nations. 2 people came up to me and says, "Hey, I can help you with that when you're ready." Well, fast forward to 2017, I got this email, and it's somebody I followed because Jack Canfield had introduced him to us. And I had come off of a night shift. I was in bed. I picked up my phone and I saw this email, and I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. Do you want to speak in the UN? So I pressed the button, and what it was, you could apply to be in a program that prepared you for your talk in the UN, not to the UN, but in the UN in New York, to your peers. And these were people from all over the world that came, and they would videotape it, and that was yours to share. And I phoned Les because it was a fair bit of money, and I phoned Les and I was crying because I said, I asked for this, and if I don't do it,
no.
God, for my word, for the universe, won't send me stuff I ask for.
Right.
And I had a month to do it. And I put in my application, had a conversation, and got accepted. And
Yay.
I have that up on YouTube, that talk. But the best part of that whole talk, the most rewarding thing out of that whole talk was when I got off that stage, it was the sound man that said, "Thank you for the message."
Oh, precious.
So
Precious.
when we ask for something with lots of passion, I'll give you a flip side of that. Is I sat across the table having coffee with my very dear friend Kathy, who has since passed, and said, "I wish our grandchildren lived closer." And they lived in Toronto, or just outside Toronto. You know what? Within a month, they were all living with us. Our son, his wife, and 5 kids. Something had happened, and we brought them from Toronto to live with us. So be careful, guys. When you say something with lots of passion, it happens quicker.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it
Oh
does.
yes.
And we love
Yes,
them dearly, and
That
the
is
kids
very,
are growing
very
up now,
true.
and they're all fine.
That is very, very, very true. The universe hears us, and they hear our yeses and they hear our no's. So I remember studying The Secret and many of those teachings, and it really confused me in the beginning. And then it began to make more sense the more that I studied and the more that I applied and the more that I practiced. And it's like you learn one thing and then it layers to another. And as soon as you understand that, you're like, okay, as soon as I get this, then I win. You win a prize, you win a stuffy, and then you just amp up to the next level and amp up to the next level. And it's constant learning. It doesn't end.
Well, the thing is, like I said before, you're not the same person when you go to that next, like even if you do a workshop, how many of us have done a workshop that maybe we did before, but we're not the same person now. It's no different with journaling. It's no different with any of those workshops, because you've gone through this, like the journaling, when we journal, say our forgiveness letter. Well, we've gone past that. And if we go through that same process, it might not be that same thing that we need forgiveness for, or to forgive somebody. It may not be the same one, because we are layers of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
We really are. We really are. Because if you think back enough, the person that you were when you were contemplating writing your memoir, to the person who wrote the memoir, to now the person that looks back on this completed project, do you feel like the same person in every situation?
Oh, heck no. Oh, heck. Like Janet says, the people show up in our life when we're ready for them. I mean, and I randomly, the first time I wrote for Sacred Hearts Rising anthology series, my very first chapter I wrote, it just so happened that the lady had a horse that I had worked on a few months before. And then I was at a market and she was there with her book, and somebody said, "You should go talk to this lady because she's looking for authors." I looked around the corner and I saw who it was. I was like, "Oh, I know her." But, and that's where I wrote my first 2 chapters. But, just synchronicities in the world are amazing. I mean, when I wrote, like Janet says, I had the title of my book in my head and I had the last sentence. I just had to fill in the middle. But no, I'm definitely not the same person. And I am grateful every day. I mean, you know that, Nancy. We share gratitudes every day. And if I don't share, then you're calling me. Are you okay?
Yeah, something's up.
Yeah, what's going on, Daphne? You haven't messaged me yet. But I mean, I for myself, stepping into my greatness, I celebrate the things that I'm grateful for every day. And I mean, like you said, Janet, I was entered into a contest to win a new furnace, and I knew as soon as I got entered like as soon as I was nominated, I knew that I was going to win it. I just, in my heart, I knew that I was going to be chosen, and I was. So we're getting a new furnace and air conditioner probably next week or the week after for my house.
That's awesome. Yeah. and you know what? It's like, us 3 anyways, we refer people, right? We say, hey, I know somebody for, and so recently this spring, I got a message from somebody and saying, a friend of mine just told me that I should ask you to write the foreword to my book. And like, I didn't know this person from before. And I felt so honored that, and I got to read the stories. It was an anthology, read the stories before, because I wanted to know how to write the foreword, right? You want to have some idea. And then she said, would you write a story in it? And
wow.
Said, okay. So I did, and it just came in the mail. It's out now. It's called Your Voice, Your Choice. And it's
Beautiful.
just out on Amazon now. And I've written the foreword, and I have a story in there. And the stories are beautiful. It's people's journeys. And if you need inspiration, then that's a great book. And just like my book, The Year the World Paused, those are all stories about where the person was when they heard about COVID, how they transitioned and how they came out a different person at the other end, and how they transferred. Like the stories, we all didn't know what we could do. The majority of us didn't know how much we could do on Zoom and stuff when isolated, or how we could grow because of that. Like I got from 3 people in the UK, 1 in Switzerland, 1 in Alaska, and the 1 in Ghana, author, and then the rest between Canada and the southern part of the States, like south of us. And what an experience. And then last year when I was in London in the UK, I got to meet 3 of those authors that are there in the UK.
That's so awesome.
What a gift, right? It's connecting. It's connecting. Yeah. And we're worldly now as opposed to locally. You know, Daph, that we've been to these networking locally, but now we've expanded to worldly. And that's why my business is called Worldly Connections, because I think we're all connected.
Well, and it's so wonderful when we know that it's about connection. You know, it's about collaboration. It's not about competition. And that's why I was just this past weekend, I was honored. I went to share what I do in my tools with a massage therapist, you know, and she said, well, how would I learn about all this stuff? And the lady that was there with us said, Daphne will show you everything that you need to know. Any questions, you just ask her. She doesn't hide anything. Well, I mean, and it is when we come together, we're stronger. And I just love that.
Yeah. And I have a saying, you know, life is a team sport. And when we all work together, miracles happen. And that's why I love Jack Canfield so much. We go through the training in that. And he wants us to teach, because he can't teach everyone the principles. So everybody he's trained, he says, just go out and teach them. Just go and teach them. He doesn't charge a finder's fee or like some of them do, and not discounting some of those other ones. But I mean, you look at his notoriety of his worldly, connections. We all advertise for him. Look at, I'm talking about him. Every single person that's trained with him to the degree that I have, you will not hear them do anything else but praise him. Yeah. Like I think he's 76 or 77 this year. But this man just wants the world to be a better place. Mm-hmm. And there is no competition. There's other people that do what he does. There's other people that do what we do. But you know what? Not everybody connects with everybody.
True story.
They need to find who they connect with.
Yeah. Well, and I quite often I make my decisions based on who I would make a blanket tent with and have a sleepover. I'm at a place in my life where that's really important to me. Becoming a grandmother brought some really wonderful practices back into my life. And it is things like that. You know, if I could make a tent and we could play make-believe and pretend, that's a really nice place where I can make my tent my way and you can make your tent your way and we can still be friends.
Exactly. You know what? And how I, who I want to work with, I want them to be ready to move forward, because I'll do everything in my power to help them get to where they want to be. And I'd have their back, just like when I was working and I was in the dispatch center, my partner, the person sitting next to me, just like I know they had my back. Yeah. And it took one person that totally shifted my life. And that was in about 1982. And if it wasn't for her, I know I wouldn't be here today. But she encouraged me and said I was smart enough when I didn't believe it. So what I tell people, I'll believe in your dream until you're ready to take it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, and each of us in our own different way of being, whether that's our professional modality or our way of being as a parent or way of being as a friend, it is so genuinely different. And the more that we can step into being happy there, being proud of who we are, doing what it is that we love to do, the more that we will come into connection with those that are ready to be in that way of being. A lot of people talk about vibration and manifestation, and that's what I'm talking about. But I do it my way. It was just so different than Daphne's way
Mm-hmm.
and so different than your way. Whereas Daphne, Daphne's up there. I'm pointing down. You're up there. There.
And
Oh,
you know what? People need to realize that, my biggest struggle was like I take all kinds of courses and stuff because I'm working on myself. So whatever I share with somebody or refer somebody to, it's something I've done myself too to get me to where I am. But the thing is what I struggled with is all the different courses as, oh, do it this way or do it that way. And my thing this year was that I'm bringing all of me to the table, all of me. I don't, I guess my niche, for a better word, encompasses a lot of people. I want to help you move forward from a trauma, no matter what that is, wherever you're stuck. If you've done your work with your psychologist or anybody that can help you through that trauma, my job is not to fix you or help you with your trauma to get over it. Mine is to take you forward from that. Because for me, when I was finished working with my psychologist regarding my PTSD, she had said to me, "Okay, you don't need to work with me anymore." And guys, this was in 2003, before they were even acknowledging police officers were getting PTSD, never mind a dispatcher. And I just like, oh my God, now what? But she gave me amazing tools. I still use them today and I teach them where somebody needs them. But it was from there that I said, oh my God, now what? And that's when I started doing all these other trainings because I needed to keep moving forward. I did it for me. And what did you say? The outcome from it, the residual from it, whatever, is that I can now help other people because of my journey.
That's
when our
beautiful.
teacher tells us, when our teacher, our mentor, our guide says, you're ready to move on in the world without me, that is quite a challenge. Daph, when did that happen to you that you can remember that holds strong?
Oh my goodness. um Honestly, you know what? Janet was one of the many people that I think I would say one of the first people that did that, helped me with that, to be completely honest. Remember that workshop you did that
The
one
Wisdom
time?
Coaching Circle.
Yeah, the wisdom coaching circle. You might be able to explain that a little bit better than I can. But she was holding this wisdom coaching circle that was downtown somewhere I had never been. I had to go there by myself. I was still like, oh no, what do I do? I was still working in a 9 to 5 job, and I was going, oh no, I don't know how to get there. I don't know where to park. Oh my God, I was kind of having a bit of an anxiety attack going there, but I got there and took part in the wisdom coaching, and then I'll let you take it from there.
Okay, so I came up with this Wisdom Coaching Circle. So it's like a mastermind. And it's evolved since Daphne was the first, because I think that was the very first one I did. And so I think we had about 6 people. So I call it a wisdom coaching circle, and it's in 3 circles. So the first circle, and you come to it with one challenge, just one challenge, and everybody shares their one challenge. Then we go back to the first person and we go around and say to every one of the people in order, do you have any suggestions on how they can do this challenge? And we go around like that for each of the people. Then the final circle is what's what is your plan? What's your goal? By when? And where do you need support? So can I share what yours was, Daphne?
Go for it.
Okay. So Daphne was making this jewelry and she was working part-time in a bank. And so she said in 6 months, she wanted to make her salary at the bank by selling her jewelry so that she could give up that and do this full time. So I had another one a month later, and Daphne came, and Daphne said, I did it. I quit my job and I made mine. And I actually went to one of your houses. Somebody had a house party, right? And we went to it, a cousin or something of yours, I think. And she did this. And I've never seen her go backwards since. She has done so much since. But do you know what? Sometimes we just need support and belief and somebody, and just us saying, like, where do you need help? And what are some suggestions for it? Because let's face it, we're too close to our challenge. I'm too close to my challenge. Like I talked to that man today and he came up with this title and you'll see it in the future. But he says, well, why don't you call it this? And I thought, oh my God, that's it. Yeah. And so we're too close to that. So that's why we need coaches. That's why we need psychologists. And that's why we need mentors. And we go a lot faster and a lot further when we have that.
So
we
Janet,
truly do.
Sorry, I was going to say, where can people find you if they want to find you after watching this?
Well, I am on Facebook and just under my name, Janet Wiczowaty, and also on LinkedIn. If anybody's on LinkedIn, but my phone number's there too. They can always text me or private message me. And if you guys have trouble spelling my name and can't find me, Nancy Nance and Daphne know how to find me.
You know, it's beautiful when we have different ways to be found. It truly is. You know, I am blessed, and I can't even. I don't even have a chance in my days to tell Daphne what's going on, the major shifts and changes. And Daph is one of my she's one of my ride or dies. And I appreciate that so very, very much. And there is so much that's coming forward. And I look forward to having the opportunity to talking with you on some other platforms that I've been invited to co-host on. And it's going to be quite a ride. When I think of my incredible people that have taught me so much, they're coming up in the next few weeks on this platform. You know, when I talk about what matters most in my life, I talk about my friends, and they're the ones who have truly brought me so much. I mean, I've got Hazel Butterworth coming up next week, and I absolutely adore her. My heart just softens and melts as soon as I hear her beautiful voice. It's just this constant shifting of energy and the different ways that we teach. And Hazel's way of teaching is very different than yours or mine. It's the Hazel way. Yeah.
She is amazing. I forget how I met her originally, but I know she contacted me. She was speaking at an event and asked me if I would come and put up a display table with my books and stuff. And I was doing my online radio show at the time. And since and then it just went on from there. What I'm finding now, and what you guys might be finding, that what has transpired over the last few years is that we were together here and then we sort of went out and now we're circling back. But in order to gain the knowledge and stuff to bring more to the table, we needed to do that. So my message is to other people who find that some of the people they're connected with sort of going in a different direction. That's okay, because you know what? They show up. You know, we still follow each other. We may not be having coffee and stuff like that. And we do need to have a coffee date, guys. I know. And I know Daphne and I were talking, but we haven't set a date either. But, you know, just to reconnect And that is one thing that's been happening this year more than anything else, is the reconnecting with people. And so I'm very grateful for that. And it's like coming home when you connect with the people that have been with you sort of at the beginning of your journey.
Yeah. It really is. And then we get to learn more about each other and how our messages are now. The way that the angels speak to me now is so much different than before. So much different. Yeah.
Yeah. And what we think about and what we do, how we show up, and the people that show up in our lives. So, but we're meant for bigger things. Everybody is.
One step at a time. We're all
can only eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah, we are meant for greater things. We were created by greatness for greatness.
Yeah. So
there's no doubt. Well, I'm so thankful. I mean, thank you for being here on Thanksgiving almost day.
Well, we had our Thanksgiving dinner today, so
we did too. We did too. Yeah.
Thanksgiving weekend. It's not day. It's a weekend.
Yeah, it is. It's the whole weekend, and you know, as you get older, and like for me, our kids are all over the place, but our one grandson is close by here in Edmonton, so it was just the three of us, less than our grandson and us. That, but it was very nice, very enjoyable, and then I get to spend the evening with you guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
On the last day of my 53rd year, I'm with you too. How beautiful.
Yes, your birthday's tomorrow, right? Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
It's tomorrow. Yeah. It's a beautiful new beginning with the same old me. Yeah, not old,
you
but
guys are just babies.
I know, right? Oh, I'm looking forward to so much. What a blast. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, very, very much. So until we meet in person, coffee, I hear?
Yes.
Sounds lovely. Maybe tea.
Do you know what? It doesn't matter as long as we're together.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being a part of my joy and my evenings. So until next time, I love you to the moon and back. Thank you.
Thank you so much.